LA 한인타운을 관할하고 계시죠. 캘리포니아주 34지구 지미 고메지 연방 하원님께 현안에 대해 물어보는 시간 갖겠습니다. Okay, good morning, Congressman.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for agreeing for an interview.
Yeah.
Let's start with the immigration issue.
Okay.
So the most thing Korean American community is worried about is the U.S. Visa H-1B quota.
Yeah.
A major issue within Korean American community that they believe that South Korea is unfairly having a low cap compared to like Australia or other European countries. How can you help?
Well, first, I think that we need to kind of look at immigration comprehensively. One thing that this administration has done is really kind of try to divide different parts of the immigrant community, right? They try to divide the Latinos from the Asians and the Asians from the Latinos and then the Latinos from the African American and island populations. We have to kind of stop that and really focus on overall comprehensive immigration reform. When it comes to individual caps, I think what we need to do is see what we need. HB1 visas, I think we need more of them, but we also need more immigrants when it comes to low-skilled sectors as well. It's not just HB1. So I think that's something that we need to kind of work on. If it's, I'm not sure if South Korea is specifically being targeted by this administration, but I wouldn't doubt it. This administration has shown that it just wants to stop all legal and undocumented immigration to this country. So we have to look at it comprehensively. HB1 is part of that comprehensive immigration reform, but it's not the only part of it.
But H-1B visa was like before the Trump administration. It has been lower cap ever since like 2000.
Yeah, but that's for everything, right? The immigration system, you can't fix it unless you look at all the parts together. You know, there's some people in the business community, all they want is HB1 visas. For me, that's not a fair thing to our community. It's not a fair thing to the country. You know, if you really look at demand, we also need to have a huge demand for unskilled labor, people that go work in the agricultural fields. So looking at all segments of it, I think is what we need to do. Right now, the caps are just too low across the board. So I think HB1 is some of it, but it's not the only thing.
Would you say any words to Korean American community who feel nervous about this issue?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that first they should go about their lives, right? I know I've visited the CARE community health centers in Koreatown, and one of the things that we saw right after Donald Trump took office is like the increase in the number of people that were not showing up for their medical appointments increased to like 19%. Well, that doesn't do those patients any good and doesn't do the community health centers any good because they also lose federal funding when their patients don't show up. They need to kind of continue living their lives. I know they're nervous about it, but they need to do that because it only makes things worse. Also, if somebody in the Korean American community, I say this to the Latino community as well, if they're legal permanent residents, they need to become citizens. Right? They need to apply for citizenship because citizenship is the only permanent relief that anybody has. My sister Juanita, she was a legal permanent resident for decades, and my nephew got nervous after Donald Trump got elected that if she went back to Mexico to visit my grandfather, she wouldn't be able to get back in. It took her about a year. It's taking longer now, but my sister just became a U.S. citizen. So I encourage anybody who is a legal permanent resident that's still nervous to become a citizen of this country.
Wow, on your family it happened.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
Close. Okay. And speaking of care, there was one question about the care clinic actually. Yeah. There's a perception in Koreatown community that you favor care clinic over other organizations. And why do you think there is such perception, and what's your future plan on communicating with the Koreatown?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you know, I favor just having a strong relationship with every part of my community. One of the things that a lot of folks have always mentioned, that I've always been accessible, so if I'm invited, I'll go and visit. If there's other community health centers, I'll definitely stop by. But we've had, since I've gotten elected office, we've had numerous you know, community office hours. We've had Korean roundtable discussions with different groups. We stopped by the different neighborhood organizations. And we're reaching out as much as possible in order to build those relationships. This area, I didn't represent this area when I first got elected. I represented the northern part of the district, but now we've been really having those strong dialogues. And for the first time, most people don't realize, I communicate directly with the constituents. I actually did mailers in Korean and English for the first time in ever. The previous elected official didn't do it. I did it because it's important to communicate directly. But if somebody invites me to an event, I definitely try to attend. And I believe in being accessible to everybody.
Actually, I live in your district and I received the mail. I was surprised.
Oh, okay, good.
You are definitely the first person.
Good.
Yeah,
It won't be the last. It won't be the last mailer in Korean.
I hope.
And I've learned 안녕하세요. That's and 감사합니다. And what else? Something that somebody translated said, "Go Korea."
Okay, let's later do that. We
Yeah.
definitely want that on our interview. We should go on a little broader issue about the President Trump meeting with the North Korean leader
Yes.
Kim Jong. What's your thought on it? And do you think there'll be another summit sooner or later?
I spent time since I got elected really learning about South Korea, the Korean Peninsula, just the region as a whole, and understanding the complexities of it. Last year, my first foreign overseas trip was to South Korea because I know that it's an important region and it's an important constituency in this area. We met with business leaders. We met with the foreign minister. We never got to meet with President Moon, but we met with different folks. And one of the things I realized is that a lot of people give credit to Trump, but I think President Moon should receive a lot of credit as well because he was able to he was the good cop, right? The guy that would reach out and try to build a relationship when Trump was just like saber rattling, right? So that created the momentum and the ability. But I don't think that Trump understood the long-term potential when it came to his first summit and the second summit. I think that we need to make sure that we have a denuclearized peninsula, but it needs to be verifiable, right? You can't just say we trust them, right? We have to make sure that it's verifiable and it's complete and it's measurable, right? And if you can't do that, then you shouldn't be giving them the North Koreans just publicity, right? And that's what I think Donald Trump has done, is giving a lot of publicity to the North Korean regime. We shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, I believe that President Trump should be also communicating with the Korean American community, right? And the reason why is that people that are in the Korean American community have relatives that are both in South Korea and North Korea. They both understand the seriousness of what if something goes wrong, what's going to happen. And I think that way we can really have more input from the local community. I'm disappointed that they didn't have any positive steps moving forward, but I'm glad that it wasn't coming out of the last summit, that it wasn't something that would undermine the security of the South Korean population.
And final question, do you have any final words to Korean American community? Maybe you can start with 안녕하세요 and then end your statement with the 감사합니다.
Oh yeah, 안녕하세요 is the first words that I learned in Korean, like who doesn't? But I want to just say that my office is here to help when it comes to a variety of issues, right? When it comes to housing as much as we possibly can, when it comes to Social Security, when it comes to healthcare, Medicare, you name it, that's what we're here to do, is to help those basic services. At the same time, when it comes to immigration, we know a lot of people have problems with, just have trouble with filling out their paperwork, or they run into some kind of issue or obstacle. My office has helped so many people. A good example, somebody wanted to bring, they weren't Korean, but they wanted to bring their family over, their parents, to see the birth of their child. They were running out of time, and we helped them bring their parents from a different country to the United States so they can see the birth of their child. Simple things like that my office can help with, people should reach out. At the same time, I don't claim to know all the issues when it comes to the Korean American community, but I also understand that the issues that the Latinos care about are the same. The whites care about, the Koreans. It's the same issues, right? Healthcare, education, job creation, housing, environment. It's all kind of the same issues, but just from different perspectives. And that's what I'm going to continue doing, is really kind of having that dialogue with folks. 감사합니다. Thank you.
이민 문제에서부터 한반도 이슈까지 여러 문제 짚어봤습니다. 지금까지 캘리포니아주 34지구 지미 고메즈 연방 하원이었습니다.